Chris Denari, post NBA draft, man. Did you get the stress out? Were you sweating? Was it just crazy in there? It looks like what's that show? Draft Day.
Yeah.
You got everybody going around. You got all these. It was pretty. Sounds like it was pretty calm.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was up in Carmel. We had a huge draft party for season ticket holders at Midtown. And then they also had a draft party on the north side of District Tap, and they were both very well attended. And so I didn't have an opportunity until the next day to head downtown and, see the press conference with the 3 new draft picks. And I think the Pacers were super excited. Benedict Mathurin is an outstanding talent. I think somebody who's going to fit right into what the Pacers want to do in the backcourt. In this day and age, you're looking at wings who can play defense, who can shoot it, who are just very athletic. And that's one of the things the Pacers were trying to get better. They want to be more athletic. Andrew Nembhard out of Gonzaga, who many thought would be a first-round pick. He was the first pick of the second round, so pick number 31. And then Kendall Brown out of Baylor. Some had him much higher than 48. The Pacers started the night with the 58th pick. That was the last pick in the second round, and they were able to get number 48. So I think they got 3 players they feel like can fit right into their future. They all come from winning college programs. I mean, Gonzaga, Arizona, and Baylor. And so it's just the next step. And then as Dustin knows, we were just talking, free agency starts tonight at 6. It's a little bit unofficial. You'll start hearing things. I was telling you guys that we have to go radio silent because there is a moratorium until the next league year starts, which is next week. And so all the things that you read and hear coming up after 6 o'clock, more than likely they're official, but nothing is really official until next week. So as a team employee, we have to take a step back, and I'll be at 6 o'clock very anxiously watching what's happening around the NBA as far as trades and free agency start.
And so we get the last, and Chris mentioned we get the last interview with him. So we're shutting it down, baby. We're bringing it down right here. So all of you are so lucky, whether you're listening on the ref or wherever, we're shutting it down. I didn't want to interrupt you, but Dustin, but I'm ADHD and I'll forget my question. What was it like was there at least some scuttle when Jaden Ivey dropped after the 3 pick when he wasn't taken? I don't know if he was in there, how much he was in their thoughts, but when that happened, was there at least some, hey, we got to look at things here at the potential?
Well, I mean, but then Detroit took him at 5.
Right. Well, I just meant before that happened.
Is if you're able to move up, what are you going to have to give up? What assets do you have to give up? And I'm sure Detroit was sitting there, hey, do you want Jaden Ivey? We also want your number 6 pick, and we want a player, or we want a pick from next year. And at some point, you have to decide, hey, we really like Benedict Mathurin, and we feel like he's a guy. I mean, I think you guys have read Tyrese Halliburton and he have already clicked and feel like they can be the backcourt of the future for the Indiana Pacers. So, yeah, Jaden Ivey's a tremendous talent. I think anybody would have wanted him to be a part of your franchise. But I can tell you that from the response that night when Ivey was taken 5th and then the Pacers are on the clock at 6, Pacers fans and season ticket holders were very excited to get Mathurin as a part of the Pacers.
And go ahead, Dustin.
Well, I was going to just ask, because up in Detroit now, you've got Cade Cunningham and you've got Jaden Ivey. The Pacers now have Ben Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton. You look over at in Milwaukee, obviously they got Giannis. I mean, the Central Division, maybe not immediately, but is going to be probably one of the tougher divisions, I think, in the NBA. When you look at the amount of young talent, the amount of athleticism, and I know you could probably say that about a lot of divisions, a lot of teams across the NBA, but I look at the division in terms of the young talent there, and there's a lot of potential. And I almost hate that the Pacers are in that division because it is so loaded.
Yeah, look at Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland has Garland and Mobley and Sexton and Okoro. Chicago, added a lot of talent. The Eastern Conference is much stronger than it was 10 years ago. And I said this, the Pacers had a great run starting with the 8th seed in 2011. They had a 4-year run where twice they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it's going to be much more difficult today to make those moves just because I think the East is much stronger than it was 8 to 10 years ago. And so you're right. If you just look at the Central Division and just how strong it is, I think, Dustin and Jim, what we've seen too, even though Golden State won the NBA title and we know how strong Phoenix was this year, I think if you look top to bottom from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference, and I'm saying, again, top to bottom, all 15 teams, I think it would be very easy right now to say the East from 1 to 15 is much stronger than the West is at 1 to 15.
And I look at and he comes from Arizona, so he comes from a winning program. Someone that they're going to expect scoring from. They're going to expect him to be an impact player immediately, being a first-round pick. It's not a case where you can, all right, we're going to let you grow a little bit. He's got to come in and perform and help this team now.
No question. And I think despite the injuries that Chris Duarte suffered, and basically they shut him down at the end of the year. I mean, this is a guy as a rookie out of Oregon last year, averaged 13 points a game. In his debut game in Charlotte, he went for, 20 plus. So I think when you're putting together what the Pacers are doing right now, light guys are all around the same age, Halliburton, Isaiah Jackson, Duarte, Mathurin. I think that's exciting to see. And, a lot's been made, what's going to happen, and we'll find out beginning tonight, Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner. But Chad Buchanan was very clear to say the other day on a radio interview here in Indianapolis, look, we are not shopping Miles Turner. We feel like he can be a real asset and be very beneficial to what we want to do moving forward. Now, that's not to say that teams are not calling the Pacers about Miles Turner. But what Chad said, look, we are not out there actively shopping him. We feel like he is a fit for this franchise. That's not to say that I think anybody in this league we've seen, there are very few players that are not tradable, right? But I think they want to see Miles with this group because Miles missed the last 40-plus games of the year last year. He never played with Halliburton. He never played with Buddy Hield. So there are a lot of questions that have to be answered once training camp comes at the end of September, early October.
For him is his last name is Turner and not Bridges right now. Makes him a lot more valuable.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking to see. That happen. And I'm not even talking, what I read for Miles Bridges, but, the person that happened to. That's, again, we don't know all the details, but you hate to see things like that.
Absolutely. Dustin?
Well, one of the things I was back on the Miles Turner topic is it seems to be there's almost like a split if you look at, among Pacers fans on whether they'd like to see him go or whether they'd like to see him stay. But to me, I've always thought Miles is a very valuable piece. And while he may not be the best big man in the league, I almost feel like with this young group, he can almost fill that kind of role that Danny Granger did near the end of that 2011, 12, 13. He can be effective on both ends of the floor, and he can be like the Pacers need a leader. I don't think there's any doubt that on the floor they've got some leadership, but they need. And I think Miles, when he's on the bench, when he's on the floor, he's very vocal. He's a boisterous leader. I think the Pacers need that more than anything. So I would like to see how the season starts, and then if things maybe aren't working, or if whatever the situation might be, then maybe it becomes more of an opportunity for the Pacers to say, okay, we'll listen to some offers, but. I mean, obviously, like you just said, Chris, there's very few players in the league that aren't tradable. I just personally want to see a healthy Miles Turner with a young athletic group kind of provide that leadership because everything I've heard about Miles, he loves Indiana, he loves playing, and he wants to stay a Pacer.
There's no question about that. He's done so many good things on and off the floor for the Pacers. And I think when you look at, where the Pacers are, just a couple of years ago, both Cleveland and Memphis as they were building through young talent, they won somewhere between 25 and 29 games. So they have built around the draft and with young players. But again, then if you look at Memphis, they have a veteran center in Steven Adams. They have Dylan Brooks. You look at Cleveland, they're bringing Kevin Love off the bench with that young talent. You still have to have the right mix. Yeah, you want to go young. You want to develop your players, but you've got to have some veterans along the way to show them the way. And I think that's sort of what you're striving for when you try to look at the sweet spot of developing your roster. And I think that's, the Pacers have taken some good steps. I like what they did last year with Duarte Jackson and Dwayne Washington Jr. coming out of that draft, if you will. I always count Washington Jr. as a draft pick. He was not drafted, but immediately signed to a contract the next day. And this year they added 3 more. So in the last 2 drafts, you've gotten, I believe, 6 young players that you feel like, and I feel like, can be a key part of your roster going forward.